Hello darts fans, it's Dan Dawson in association with the Sportsman, looking ahead to night 11 of the Premier League. We're in Liverpool this week as Rob Cross looks to maintain his charge at the top of the Premier League table and deny Michael van Gerwen his spot, which he believes is his by rights. He's finished there every single year he's competed in the Premier League. He thinks it's his spot as well. However, let's go back to last week in Northern Ireland, where I tipped Daryl Gurney among 3 outsiders in our bet to go and get his win. He was playing Rob Cross, and I thought in front of his home fans, after winning a European Tour title just a few days before, Superchin could go on and do it. It just never really happened for him. Rob Cross continuing his excellent form in the Premier League. Even though he hasn't picked up a title as yet so far this year, he really is doing the business in these Premier League stages. We did tip Mensur Suljovic though. He was an 8-5 shot to beat James Wade. Wade just cannot beat Mensur Suljovic, and that is bearing out in the Premier League. It's something to look out for if those two meet again in big TV tournaments over the course of the year. But James Wade, as excellent as he's been all the way through the league campaign, it just does not work against the big Austrian. He will be delighted not to face him again, unless of course they end up meeting at the O2 in the semi-finals or even the final of the Premier League. Now let's have a look at tonight's action. We start with Rob Cross, who is looking to maintain his spot at the top of the table. He takes on Peter Wright, who is only averaging about 89 over the last 3 nights of Premier League action. He had 2 first-round exits with averages in the high 80s at the weekend on the tour. It is a horrible period, this, for Peter Snakebite Wright. And even though Rob Cross withdrew from the tour event on Sunday because he was feeling ill, having had an early exit himself on a Saturday, I just feel that he's going to carry on doing what he does in this year's Premier League campaign, and that is average over a ton and usually get the win. And with the odds with Bet365 at 5-6, that seems pretty enticing to me. I think he could win it by a stretch. You might want to look at one of the handicap bets, but I just think that Peter Wright, even though he's playing poorly, he's finding ways to win legs. He did that last week when we'd actually tipped him to go and beat Michael Smith, and he kept on winning legs. He found a way to get a draw, but he really didn't look particularly convincing doing it. I think Rob Cross wins that opening game at 5-6, and hopefully that sets us on to another winning night like we had a couple of weeks ago when our 25-1 accumulator landed. Gerwyn Price against Mensur Suljovic. Now, Mensur Suljovic, as brilliant as he is against James Wade, and as much as he gets in Wadey's head, and the machine just cannot handle the big Austrian, Gerwyn Price has no such problems. In fact, when you look at his record against Mensur, he's won by far more games than he's lost against the Gentle, a former Champions League of Darts winner. It's 10 wins to 4 defeats for Gerwyn Price. Now, he's 5-4, whereas Mensur is 6-4, so the bookies have got it quite close, and that's maybe as you expect, because Mensur is actually above Gerwyn in the league. He's won 3 out of his last 4 games in this tournament, but it's those games against Gerwyn Price where he really does struggle. I think that Gerwyn Price at 5-4 is a good shout. He's also hitting more 180s than anybody else in the league, 35 in total, Gerwyn Price. So if you want to have a look at the number of 180s in the match, Bet365 have got over 6.5 at 10-11. Now, I'm expecting the Welshman to pile in a load of them, but Mensur has been hitting a fair few himself, particularly in the tour events, even though it was a poor weekend just gone. I think that at 10-11 for 7 180s in that match, where you could of course see 14 legs in that match, I think that's a decent shout. So I'd be looking at Gerwyn Price and Rob Cross to win the opening 2, but over 7 180s in the Gerwyn Price versus Mensur Suljovic tie. Now, James Wade, yes, he was very, very disappointing against Mensur Suljovic, but that's because it was Mensur Suljovic. Everybody else, he's been brilliant, and he was even better than brilliant against Daryl Gurney last time they met, because he whitewashed him and averaged almost 110. It is Daryl Gurney that he faces this time around, and I've said all the way through this that Gurney has been underrated by the bookmakers. I think he is a very, very good shout to make the playoffs, and I think he could even go and win the Premier League, if not this year, some point in the future. However, on Thursday night in Liverpool, I will be backing James Wade, because when you look at the odds, it's 6-5 for Wade. Odds against for a man who is in brilliant form this year. He's just won a title on Saturday, beat Michael Smith in the final. I think that that is the obvious bet. As much as I like Gurney, I just don't think at 8-5 the odds are that enticing for you to back the underdog, the Northern Irishman and the former World Grand Prix champion. That'll bring us to the last game of the night, Michael Smith versus Michael van Gerwen. Now, these two have met all kinds of places: European Tour finals, the World final, last year's Premier League final. Michael van Gerwen usually gets the better of him. Michael van Gerwen usually gets the better of everybody, but he's not playing his best stuff. This year, he has only averaged more than 104 once in the Premier League, and that was in Week 1 against Michael Smith. And even then, he only won it by 7 legs to 5. Michael Smith does have the ability to really push Michael van Gerwen, but that lack of killer instinct, only getting the draw last week against Peter Wright when he should have won the game, only picking up defeats when he should at least get draws, that's happened a few times in this year's Premier League campaign. Even if he does turn up and really have a go at MVG, who, as I say, is not playing his best, I just don't think he's going to be able to get over the line. What I do think, though, when you look at the odds, 9-2 for Michael Smith, 11-2 for the draw, and 4-11 for MVG. Well, the draw does stand out, but it's so hard to pick them in these extended formats. What I would look at doing is looking at the handicap markets, and we've done this a couple of times in MVG ties, looking at his opponent with the handicap, and it's paid out for us. I'd go again at plus 3.5 legs. That means Michael Smith has got to get to 5 legs in this game. I certainly think the bully boy can do that. I don't know if he can go and win this game. If it does go his way, then he may be able to mount a challenge for the playoffs, because he's stuck at the bottom of the table right now, Michael Smith. But I just don't think he can do it. I do think he can get 5 legs though, so plus 3.5 with Bet365, his odds are 4-6. Now, if you want to put that in an accumulator, Michael Smith plus 3.5 legs, 4-6, James Wade at 6-5, Gerwyn Price at 5-4, and Rob Cross at 5-6. It's an accumulator of 14-1. Now, I know that that's not the big odds that we've been having with some of the accumulators week after week. We do have one fewer game this week, but I just think that that's the sensible play tonight. I also think you can make some money on the 10-11 bet at more than 7 or more than 6.5 180s in the Gerwyn Price Mensur Suljovic game. Let's get ourselves back on the winning trail this week.